Hi, and welcome to day 5 of Radicals and Systems. Um, if you are not in class, you did not know that I am changing the last day. I will have a handout for you in class. If you're absent, please just take the notes on a separate sheet of paper as best you can, and then transfer them when you get back to school. Did not like what was in the packet, and I changed my mind. So, for example, 1. It says solve the system graphically. X squared plus y squared equals 25 and y equals 4/3 x. Given the graph of x squared plus y squared equals 25. Well, x squared plus y squared equals 25 is really just a circle with the center, that's CTR for center, 0, 0, because nothing's being added to the x or the y, and a radius of the square root of 25, which is 5. And then we were given y equals 4/3. Oh, can't write tonight. 4/3 x. This is the line. And my slope is 4/3, and b is 0 because there's no b value. So I just go over to my graph and I make a point at my origin. And then I'm going to go up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 over 3. 1, 2, 3. I'll go down 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1, 2, 3. So as you can see, we have a line here, and you of course would use a ruler, straight edge of some sort to draw your line. Notice I have the label of my circle, so I need to write my label of my line. And I'm looking for points of intersection. Where does my line cross the circle? This is the point 3, 4. And over here, this is the point -3, -4. And that's all I asked you to do. You don't have to check anything. Just plot it and find the points of intersection. I do need to know what you're using to get your line, so some kind of information there would be helpful. All right. Next page. Solve y equals 3x minus 5 and x squared plus y squared using a graphing calculator. Okay, obviously I can't go through the steps on the graphing calculator because the only graphing calculator I have on my computer is an Inspire, which is not the same steps as it is for an 84. So you can type this into Y1 on your own. You don't need my help. This, however, x squared plus y squared is 25. We just talked about how before it's going to be a circle with a radius of 5. You only have y equals on the calculator. And when you only have y equals, you can't type y squared in on the calculator. So we have to rearrange our formula or equation so that it is equal to y only. So x squared plus y squared equals 25. And then you have so subtract x squared from both sides. So y squared equals 25 minus x squared. And since this is y squared, it takes square root of both sides. So y equals plus minus 25 minus x squared. Now, when you go to actually type it into your calculator, you're going to have be putting our line, which is 3x minus 5, y2 equaling the square root of 25 minus x squared, and y3 equaling the square root of negative square root of 25 minus x squared. Calculator won't understand it if you don't put the positive and the negative halves of the circle. It will only graph half of the circle. So, we have a circle with a radius of 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I think I'm actually going to draw my line first. Y equal, 3 times 5, so M is equal to 3 and B is equal to -5. So I'm going to start at -5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh, look, that's one of my points there. And up 3. 1, 2, 3 over 1. Up 3. 1, 2, 3 over 1. It's another point on my line. Up 3. 1, 2, 3 over 1. So, doing the best I can without a ruler. My line is going to look something like that. And this is y equals 3x minus 5. And then we have to draw the circle. And without a compass and on a computer screen, that is the best I can do. So x squared plus y squared equals 25. Now I'm looking for points of intersection. And I appear to have two. One down here for sure, and one up here. When you actually graph it on the computer screen, you'll be able to see it. And in class, I will show you how to find your points of intersection if you don't know how. This is the point 0, -5. And this looks like the point 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4. You guessed it. Your turn. Use your graphing calculator. If you don't have your graphing calculator, you need to go and get one. Whether it be in the office or on your own. All right, next page. Solve algebraically, our favorite. Y equals x squared plus x and y equals -11x minus 35. Before we're using elimination, I'm not going to use elimination because I have an x squared. That makes me want to not use elimination. I will, however, use substitution because substituting, these are both y equals. Since they're both y equals, I can set both equations equal to each other. So x squared plus x equals -11x minus 35. When I have x squared, I have to get an equal to 0, so I'm going to add 11x and add 35. So I have x squared plus, this becomes 12x plus 35 equals 0. So my factors, 35 to add up to 12, are x plus 5 and x plus 7. So that means that x equals -5 and x equals -7. And that's great and that's fine, but now I need to find y for each x that I found. So if x is equal to -5, I need to use one of my equations to find y. So y equals -11 times -5 minus 35. Well, y equals -11 times -5 is +55 minus 35. So y equals 20. So my first set of ordered pairs is -5 and 20. If y equals if x equals -7, we have y equals -11 times -7 minus 35. So y equals 77 minus 35. So y equals 42. So I have -7, +42. All right, you can check these graphically if you want. Or you check typing it in your calculator and then looking to make sure you get those answers. You guessed it. You tried number 5. For number 6, example 6, consider x squared plus y squared plus 169 and y equals negative 2/3 x plus 13. Describe the graph of each equation by observing the characteristics of each graph at what point, actually, I think it's supposed to be at one point, excuse me. Now, at what point do you know, that's supposed to be do, not so. Do you know will be a solution to the system of equations, and why? Graph both equations on the same coordinate plane by hand, and algebraically find the points of intersection or point of intersection of the two graphs. Explain why you do not need to use the quadratic formula to solve this equation. So for A, it's asking you to describe each of the equations, the graph of each equation. Well, x squared plus y squared equals 169 is a circle with center 0, 0, and radius of 13. So take the square root of 169, and y equals negative 2/3 x plus 13 is a line with slope equaling negative 2/3 and right intercept where the b value equals 13. And then it says we're looking at the graph and some characteristics of it. Right, let's see here. Observing the characteristics of each graph, what points do you know will be the solution of the system equation y? Well, I can tell by looking at it that if x is equal to 0, then y has to be equal to 13. And that's just by inspecting the graph. I know that they both, this is 13, the square root of that is 13. Here's a 13. Somehow they have to be related. If x is 0 for both of them, then my y's are what's left over. So that's how I figured that out. And then, see, it says graph both equations. All right. So I think I'm going to start out with my line again. I'm going to start out at 13. Notice this is counting by 2. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 is about halfway in between. And I'm going to go down 2, down 1, 2 over 3, 1, 2, 3, down 2, 1, 2 over 1, 2, 3, down 2 over 1, 2, 3. That's pretty close. And I'll draw my line. Best that I could. I apologize. It's not wonderful. So this is y equals negative 2/3 x plus 13. And then I have to do a circle, the radius of 13. So that was 13. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. And then halfway in between is 13. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. And then halfway in between is 13. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, halfway in between is 13. And I'm going to do my best to draw a beautiful circle. Ooh. And that is not a nice circle. Yeah. That is why we use a compass. But I have this point and that point of intersection. And this is definitely the point 0, 13 that we discussed. And I'm going to have to take a gander that this is 13 here, so this is 12, and then 2, 4, 5 is what I'm guessing by hand. And then part D said to solve it algebraically. This is where we have lots of work to do. And here I'm going to have to use a substitution, because we have x squared plus y squared equals 169, and y equals negative 2/3 x plus 13. So in place of y, I'm going to put that. So x squared plus negative 2/3 x plus 13 squared equals 169. Now I know when something just like this, it means I need to write it twice. Let's say x squared plus negative 2/3 x plus 13 times negative 2/3 x plus 13 equals 169. So I actually have to multiply over here first. Need to multiply. So x squared plus 4 minus x squared minus 26/3 x minus another 26/3 x plus 169 equals 169. And I'm going to extend my page to need more room. Alright, if I do some calculate terms now, I will have minus 52 thirds and plus 169 equals 169. Now I need to get this equal to 0, so minus 169. Oh, would you look at that? So x squared plus 4x squared, 4 times x squared, minus 52 thirds, which is actually that one, x equals 0. My LCD here is 9. Okay, my LCD is 9, so multiply by 9. So I have 9x squared, here they cancel, so plus 4x squared, here this becomes 1, that becomes a 3, and 3 plus 52 is 156, so it's a negative 1, 56 equals 0. So then I have 13x squared minus 156, I keep forgetting my x equals 0. I have a GCF of 13x, so it's x minus 12 equals 0. So that means that 13x equals 0, so x equals 0. And x minus 12 equals 0, so x is equal to positive 12. So if x is 0, my line was negative 2/3 x plus 13. So if I put in 0 for y, or sorry, 0 for x, this whole thing is going to cancel out, so y equals 13. So I have the point 0, 13, which is one of the points I predicted up in part B. Y equals negative 2/3 times 12 plus 13. 3 goes into 12 4 times. So y equals negative 2 times 4 is 8 plus 13. Negative 8 and 13 is 5. So I have the point 12, 5. And that's what I predicted by the graph of the equation. All right, believe it or not, this is easier than what was in your original packet.